Mm, Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the program. It's been weird today. It's been very dark. I don't know what time it is. Sometimes it's sunny, and then it's raining. It's like just feels like there's buckets of rain just thrown out of the sky, and I want to yell out "Gardy Lou," which, of course, in Scottish, roughly translated, means "look out for the water." It's a good thing to yell when it's either raining sporadically or someone is throwing water at you. Anyway, I am RJ City. It is dark, and it is, in fact, if I may be so bold as to say, after dark, and we have people here already to talk to. So let's say hi to them. I do have this book of new limericks to get through. I will continue to get through it at my leisure and your leisure. It's about leisure. This is a lounge, and we'll talk about really whatever you want, as long as it's intimate or perhaps debaucherous. It could be emotional, could be emotionally debaucherous. Who am I to say? Karen said, good morning, everyone. How are you? Pay your text. Thank you, Karen. Richard says, good morning. Richard said, good morning, RJ. Have one, mate. To see they're both in Australia. Unless Richard's in New Zealand, I've made a horrible mistake. But I think they're both in Australia, all the way across the world, yet connected by technology. Isn't that fascinating and wonderful? Bill said, in my best Bela Lugosi voice, it's Bela, not Bella. Listen to them, children of the night. What music they make. Greetings, RJ in the lounge. Hope the evening, morning brings you all well. It does, especially after doing Bela. Thank you for the setup there, Bill. It almost feels like Halloween. It's immediately fall. It's like September, whatever it is, 9th, 10th, and all the leaves are on the ground. It's very weird. Erin said, greetings all. She used the Lime Ricky emoji, so I'm going to have one, a Lime Ricky Lake. My drink of choice. Here's to your questionable health, everyone. Missy said good evening. Bill's here with the emojis. Ty said good evening. Everyone's saying hello to everyone else. Clint's is here. Clincy. I got it. Carla's here. David Arquette is here, saying, I get excited when RJ comes live. And the last time I came live for David was on a private stream. I don't think anyone had access to. And I will say it on the video, a happy belated birthday to David Aloysius Arquette. We're so proud of you and everything that you attempt to do. Whether you succeed or not, the important thing is that you try. And I think between you and I, we can both wholeheartedly agree on one thing, that we're both baffled that your film, You Cannot Kill David Arquette, has such a high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I was not anticipating anyone to like it. My grandmother actually called me today because last night her and my grandfather watched the film, and my grandfather wanted to know, was that a real light tube? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, why didn't they use a prop one? And with that one question, he could have changed the course of millions of wrestling careers that were ended short by real furniture, appliances, and weaponry. Ty said happy birthday to David. Dave wants to know the odds of a nip slip tonight. For me, I don't know. This one is cinched in pretty good. If you're lucky, stick around later. David said, I once ran into my sister at an S&M bar. That's the kind of topic I want to talk about tonight. Which sister? Doesn't matter. The point is, it is your sister, and I would assume I don't have a sister. If I ran into my brother at an S&M bar, I would keep a distance, at least 6 foot, pandemic or not, and I would give him just a little head nod, like, you have problems too. That kind of thing. It's almost like at the end of a yoga class, they say namaste, and the yoga teacher always says, the spirit within me salutes the spirit within you. With this head nod to your sister at the S&M bar, like this, you go, the debauchery in me salutes the debauchery of you, and then you go your separate ways. Can't sit on the same couch or anything, you know? Dear Lord, what a starter. Val said, hello, David. Bill's talking to David. Richard is in Melbourne, Australia. Blue Meanie said, good evening, all. Good evening to you, Blue. Everyone's saying happy birthday. Tabby made a gift for David today. David's very touched. He always wanted a middle name. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can call up SAG and say, my new name, change it on my little card, is David Aloysius Arquette, D-A-A. That way you just still keep D-A. It's very efficient. All that stuff stays the same. But if anyone asks, you just say, Aloysius. Stokely said, happy 30th birthday, David. He's had a couple of those. Sean said, happy birthday. Well, I guess this is the David birthday episode. Hunter said, please stop spoiling the movie. I haven't seen it yet. I spoiled it on the top of my Twitter page. Like, we lived it quite publicly, as did David. It was all in the news. So Sabrina joined late because she was watching the ads, which is so sweet of her. Dave said, aren't the actual wrestlers the real props? In many ways, yes. SM has a great question for David. Why did you wax your asshole? I'll let that one simmer. Everyone's saying happy birthday. Blue Meanie says happy birthday. Kevin Cornstalk said, I'm waiting on the shirt I bought from you, and I can't stand on a skateboard, nor do I wear Vans. Good evening. Kevin, which just reminded me, he bought a shirt, and I wrote him back a nasty email because of how cool he spells his name. Kevin, like with a Y. The way he spells his name is the way somebody with the name Kevin spelled normally, Kevin, who became a wrestler, would spell their name. My buddy John says, how many kimonos do you have? 2. I have one from David, actually, birthday boy there, which is blue and a lot more professional. This really isn't a kimono per se. It's more of a blossoming silk robe. This is something you would put on after the bath. This is not traditional. I could not wear this anywhere legitimate. Dave said, can we talk about people who have a foot fetish? I'm not shaming, but I just don't get it. What about feet is sexy or erotic? Very confusing. Dave, I'm similarly confused by that. I mean, look, do your thing. And sometimes, I think of fetishes that people have, and I go, why would they like that? And I could see it. Certain things is something happening in your childhood, the way your brain is wired, that you would like a certain thing. Feet, couldn't even on a whim, just not interested. Not necessarily repulsed by them. I've seen many a good foot, but none that I've gone, that's a hot foot. That is a sexy, sexy foot. I can't believe it. I always get jealous that I don't have a really whacked out fetish that would be easy to deal with. You know what I mean? Some people have such bizarre sexual fetishes that they can satisfy them very easily. Like if I had a fetish for baseball hats, I could just go to a baseball game and just get off, and that's it. Not even, when they're not even sexual, they're I just like being around hats. And I get jealous of those people because my fetishes, they involve so much work, so much energy and discussion and planning. Just want to go to a baseball game and be done with it. Richard started a BWO chant. Dear Lord, everyone's still saying happy birthday to David. David said, didn't want escapees. I don't know what that's in reference to. Maybe his career. Blue Meanie said, David's fan club can be the smart Marquettes. I like it. Ty said, back to RJ. Hello, sir. How is your Wednesday? Well, it's not over yet. Ask me tomorrow. Yolanda said, good evening, my fellow dirty poets. Hey, 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 RJ. Shades of Fat Albert. Yolanda, thank you. Tabby said, he waxed his asshole because he didn't want to be a shaggy Aloysius. Patrick said, I watched the documentary last night. Those backyard deathmatch scenes were terrifying. Is Nick Gage the scariest man in wrestling? No. I think we can safely say the scariest man in wrestling is Brian Knobbs, especially when you get him on a live stream. Clint said, any gimmicks for today? No. I have no gimmicks at all. This is a straight-up intellectual show. So David had to wax his asshole because he naively wore an athletic jockstrap in his match with me, the first one we had. He was green. He didn't realize you wear. I was like, you just put on smaller underwear, like a little thong. You don't have to do that. And he also waxed. Wrestlers seldom wax. You just shave because it's really waxing is hard on your skin, and so is wrestling. He's learned. SM said, my anxiety t-shirt was shipped today. I can't wait for it to arrive. Well, I can. Stokely said, I like when David got his butthole waxed. The suspense before the rip was exciting. And it goes in the pantheon of all great waxing scenes. Sean said, what the heck is a professional kimono? Well, like a legitimate one made as a kimono. This is a bathrobe, like a little silk. I would take a bath and put some olive oil on my skin like Sophia Loren or something and put this on. Tabby said, if I'm wondering about feet, I can call up Quentin Tarantino and ask. Bill said, is anyone seeing the stream? Can Bill not see the stream? I think everyone else is, Bill. Cactus said, defeat fetish. Sabrina said, I think we asked before what your fetishes are, but you ignored the question. What are my fetishes? Good conversation, cultural references. I just, no matter what it is, I'd say I'm fairly flexible. I like knowing what other people enjoy. I like enjoying people that I enjoy. And I just like having coffee and breakfast. It's really simple. Nail said, I'd love to be a Marquette. I'm sure I can fit in another cult somewhere. It's an adjunct. It's a sister cult. Oh, David was referring to... David said he has a Wonder Woman fetish. Well, who doesn't? If you have Linda Carter's number, please send it to me. Tabby said, my fetish is humiliation. Not my own, Ted Cruz's. And boy, I have that one too. SM said, David has a Miss Elizabeth fetish. He does. Hunter said, I have a fetish for lensless glasses. Well, I do not know what you're talking about, good sir. Sean said, I had almost forgotten about the Brian Knobbs stream. So have I, and then it just hits me sometimes. Tabby said, nice dodge on my Disney movie puns today. I must have missed it because it was so clever. Clint said, this isn't my first rodeo. Carla said, thanks heavens you're here to show David the true way. Yeah, that you don't need to wax your asshole. Dave said, question, when's the last time you were in a hot tub and were you alone or with a special someone? Why would I have been in a hot tub? It was like years and years and years ago because I hate them. I get really overheated and itchy and it's not relaxing. I'd rather have a cold shower. I don't like them. I just don't like them. It was years ago at a video game anime convention that we were also wrestling at. So I was hanging out afterwards with a bunch of people and a lady who was maybe special, but ultimately no. And she said that about me, which is fine. And I just hated the experience. Not her, the hot tub. Good question, Bill. Sabrina said, well, this was fun, but I'm falling asleep. Have a lovely night. Sabrina, get tucked in, please. You need your rest. Sean said, RJ has a brunch fetish. That's true. Sabrina, say a half a sentence and leave us in suspense. Ty said, his fetish is coffee. That shares a new light on my Sunday mornings. That's why I don't always keep the camera on my crotch area. Mrs. Meanie said, we got the Meanie family here. O wants to know, what's the most Canadian fetish? It's a good... What would be a Canadian... Oh, like... It would be like sadomasochistic, but the emphasis would be on the apologizing. Miss Meany said, it's called a dressing gown, you sweet little beat. It's like a bathrobe, but fancier. I have to go get dressed. Excuse me, I gotta get dressed. This is something I want to hold close as I answer the door. What's the matter, officer? Bill said, it works. Thanks, those, for getting me to reset. Bill is back. Dave said, I hate when people accuse you of wearing lensless glasses. Clearly, you are framed. Brava, Dave. Brava. Clint said, how cold was it? Very cold. So Karia said, I have a Canadian wrestler fetish, and then used the Vince McMahon emoji. Which really throws everything off. Sean said, Sabrina, sometimes I fall asleep during Wednesday streams, but I leave it on anyway. Let me lull you to sleep. Richard said, maple syrup, right? Coconut oil is useful. Bill said, so the hot topic of the day is the return of Rick Moranis. What are some of your favorite characters or movies of his? Really, when I think of Rick, I think of SCTV. That's really his best work to me. Whether it was Jerry Todd, obviously the Mackenzie brothers. He also did a tremendous impression of Dick Cavett. He did 3 Dick Cavett sketches. The Battle of the PBS Stars. He had Bobby Bittman on the show. And then he did a green screen thing with himself where he did Dick Cavett interviewing Dick Cavett. And they're all amazing. And then, of course, movie-wise, my head immediately goes to Little Shop of Horrors. He's the best Seymour ever. Will not be topped, no matter who they get. And then another movie I like that not a lot of people talk about is My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin, not in a typical role. Blue Meanie said, does your coffee fetish involve a funnel and a waxed asshole? Why do you think I'm so chipper? Why do you think I'm tweeting at like 6 o'clock in the morning, Meanie? It's good for me because it shrinks my pores in there. And I've been having a open pore issue. Nail said, Can you say button for me? I need to check something. There's some people who say button with a D. I say button. I don't even think I don't say one T. Dave said, who would fit more in adult entertainment expo convention, me or David Arquette? I think I would, because I would hang out in the back of a booth and everyone would think I own it. I'd just be like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Please leave me alone. Sean said, I thought politeness was the Canadian Fed. Well, apologizing. It was the same. Hunter said, I was about to donate, then RJ gave me an awful framed joke. Sorry. SM said, can't stop thinking about the picture you posted for David's birthday. The kiss was a lot more passionate than it seemed in the documentary. That was a director's choice. Both hands were involved and closed eyes. New screensaver. I think it's my new 8x10. Tabby said, the most Canadian fetish is medical play with no out-of-pocket expenses. Ty said, coconut oil or aloe? Which do you think works better? Well, for my skin, if we're talking about lubrication, aloe will actually shrink your pores and dry everything up. You know, it's kind of, it's more like an astringent. So I would perhaps say oil would be the better physical lubrication. Nail said, if you had to buy David and Meanie Christmas gifts and the only store left open was a sex shop, what would you buy each of them? Well, I would buy David some sort of outfit because no matter how ridiculous, he would find a way to wear it. And then I would get Meanie 3 or 4 dildos. And you think, oh my God, that's disgusting. But then you realize they're for Mrs. Meanie to practice her juggling with. So I think in the long run, it's a very fruitful idea. David says, RJ has an aloe fetish. That's quite true. I douse myself in it. And I go, ah. I put it on and I go, ah. And I go for at CVS, let me get some aloe. It's going to be a problem. I don't think it's a problem quite yet, but it's going to be a problem later in life. Dave said, My Blue Heaven is a fantastic movie. Stokely said, Lord Helmet is the best. Of course, Spaceballs. How could I forget? So Karia said, dressing gowns are what you wear when you answer the door and the police tell you your 5th husband is dead. What? But he was here just an hour ago. Tabby said, Suddenly Seymour with Ellen Green and Rick Moranis is a song I can listen to endlessly. Of course, I think I've done it like 5 times now on Sundays. I've sung Suddenly Seymour, both parts. Carla said, wow, My Blue Heaven was the last movie I saw in my local drive-in. I thought I was the only person who remembered that. Nope. Also me. Clint said, seems you got a lot of things to do soon, RJ, like being an entertaining guy. Yep. You know me. Busy. Just being entertaining. Bill said, loved him in Spaceballs. Love any SCTV actors working with Mel Brooks. Oh, yeah, John Candy. You don't link that up that they both work together because they are kind of separate in that movie. David said, I would fit in more. I was in Mope. He was in Mope, where he played a porn director. It's a movie that recently came out, like maybe a month ago. It looks fun, and I do want to see it. Maybe I'll watch it this weekend. I do want to see Mope. And 12-Hour Shift. See, I remember all the movies. I can get all your plugs in. Let's look at a clip now. Oh my. Oh. Well, I did not expect that happening. That's a clip from the movie Mope, available on demand. Blue Meanie said, My Blue Heaven is an unofficial sequel to Goodfellas because they are both based on Henry Hill. Unofficial is the operative word. Glenn said, My Blue Heaven is essentially a follow-up on Goodfellas. Okay. Look, Glenn and Blue, you guys should be pen pals. Sean said, is there an Audrey besides Ellen Green? Not for me. There's been okay ones, but nothing close to her ever. That was her role. Eddie say, I'm just here to address you saying fuck you to me on Twitter. Do we need to take this outside? Well, you did take it. You took it outside of Twitter, and I will say it to you with all due respect. Fuck you, good sir. Thank you. Nail said, yes, Val. Kevin Owens appears to be the same as Ethan, but not RJ. RJ sounds quite like New York sometimes. Nails and Val are doing some sociological pronunciation experiment. Patrick said, I love Strange Brew. Strange Brew is really the precursor to like Fubar and Trailer Park Boys in a way, and even Beavis and Butthead in a sense. Richard said, Clinty, I'm in stage 4 lockdown, so not much. Mrs. Meany said, oh man, I would totally juggle dildos. I moved up to clubs. I get pummeled. See, I think a nice floppy rubber one, maybe you'll lose an eye. You put goggles on, but I don't think it would hit you that hard. Ty said, "Oh, I meant to use on an irritated dry skin, coconut oil or aloe vera." Well, coconut oil obviously sometimes leave it a little greasy, so I would suggest the aloe vera. Aloe vera is often like the any cream in any situation. Get the gel, not the liquid. Bill said, "Have you and David spent any birthdays together? Any fun stories?" No, we haven't spent any birthdays together, but I think we wrestled on like the first time we wrestled was like 2 days before my birthday, and then I'm a low key, I don't advertise the birthday, and then he felt really bad that it was going to be my birthday and whatever, and then he sent me a framed picture of Paul Simon was the first gift he gave me, and I had to pay duty on it, so that really got the relationship off to the wrong foot. But we're much better at gift giving now. I gave him, what did I give him? I gave him a Jerry Lewis polo. It's a red polo worn by Jerry Lewis, and it has the JL embroidered on the chest. I got him a Charlie Weaver mint tin from his grandfather's Civil War museum. And I got him, and David, I don't know if you open this or there was 3 things, and so whatever, I'm going to spoil it now. I got you a ticket stub from the Charlie Weaver show, and it says a CBS presents the Charlie Weaver show, a Cliff Arquette production on it. It was a used ticket stub, which is adorable and insane, and I can't believe I found that either. David said, "John Candy was kind to my father and hired him a couple times." Louis Arquette appears in the John Candy Dan Aykroyd movie, The Great Outdoors. He plays the bartender, and I don't know what else he's in. I really need to break down that IMDb. He's one of those people who's lucky enough to be in like a million things. You're like, Lewis was a classic that guy actor. And you're like, and then you see him and you're like, of course I know who this guy is. Tabby said, "I watched Beverly Hills Cop last night. It's hard to believe everyone in the movie is dead now. God, I feel old." Eddie Murphy's dead? Dave said, "So we can talk about when you're getting that talk show appearance?" Yeah, I've been talking about it for 2 years, Dave. I'm still holding out. Neil said, "RJ's being so kind with all these new reaction gifts faces he's giving us tonight." Well, I'm a professional. Tabby said, "John Candy should be on our currency, maybe the 20. David said, "Mope starts with a bukkake scene. Hashtag trigger warning." Gonna give you a little tip, David. Hashtag trigger warning should go before the sentence you write. That's the warning portion. Raquel said, "Hi, RJ. Going through some tough, trying times. Thank you for the humor, and doing this makes such a difference." Raquel, that is very sweet of you. And in your honor, in your trying times, I'm going to read you a little limerick. Bear with me. This is going to be horrible. There was a young lady of Norway who hung by her heels in a doorway. She said to her beau, "Look at me, Joe. I think I've discovered one more way." Let's read another one. There was a young person of Kent who was famous wherever he went. All the way through a fuck, he would quack like a duck, and he crowed like a cock when he spent. It's a nice bird-themed limerick. Glenn said, "Of course, Meanie is knowledgeable about a movie with blue in the title." That's also a great gimmick. Blue Meanie's favorite movie is, of course, Blue Velvet. Clint C. said, "If you've been invited to a movie about a true story, RJ, I bet your role is just a random guy then. Story of my life." David agrees about having John Candy on the currency. Brian said, "I love John Candy in Summer Rental." Excuse me, sir, your wife's on my whammo. A classic, underappreciated film. It's certainly no Who is Harry Crumb. Eddie said, "You make a good point, sir. The tweet was the highlight of my day and well-deserved." Oh, God, I'm getting behind in the chat. Dave said, "What question could they ask on Family Feud where you'd be the number one answer? Name a wrestler you've never seen wrestle." Ding, number one, at the top, all the time, every time. Neil said, "David, who's the most famous person in your phone? And for entertainment, will you let RJ text them?" God, no. I don't want to text any of those people. The most famous person in my phone is probably Ernie Kovacs. And we only text, catch up every couple months. "Hi, how are you?" SM said, I'm imagining 4 blue dildos being juggled now, as you should. Nail said, you don't advertise your birthday? How come we all knew to send gifts? Because people mentioned it on the Sunday morning, and I was reading it out loud. David said, I haven't seen the ticket stub. I'll check. It should be there. Damn it. Now I've ruined it. Shit. Remember, I was like, is there a third gift? And you're like, I haven't seen it. And I thought, oh, shit. Fuck, whatever. Kevin said, my best wife and best pal bought me a suction cup dildo for Christmas last year, and throwing it around to see if it sticks is one of my favorite things. I would much rather do that than try to throw a knife in the lawn. You know? Raquel said, I do not know if this went through. I'm going through a very tough. We talked about this. Damn it. SM said, Nails, not anyone who uses the word birthday week or birthday month is definitely not low-key about their birthday. I was just repeating what people said, damn it. Bill said, how about some City After Dark cocktail umbrellas? Our evenings feel so naked without one. That's a fine idea. Danny said, I'd come back to Bukkake talk. I think I'll make my exit again, but before I do, here's some sanitizer. Thank you. Dave said, you know what talk show I miss? Arsenio Hall. The WWF wrestlers on that show were great. They were. Bad News Brown was fantastic. Piper was good. Randy Savage was always good on the show. I remember Slick trying to explain Akeem's gimmick to Arsenio. It didn't go well. But Arsenio was very much in on it all. And I swear to you, they had a match between the Nasty Boys and the Legion of Doom on Arsenio. Am I just making that up? Let's see. Are we down here? The chat gets stuck sometimes. Raquel said, thank you, RJ. I appreciate it. Let me see if I can pop out the chat. Sometimes this whole chat gets stuck. Oh, okay. There we go. Cactus said, is there any way the talk show appearance can be on the Richard Bay show? I'm actually going to be on the Richard Belzer show. David said, not ruined. So kind. Thank you. Well, let me know if you can find it. Richard said, RJ, are you a fan of Bryan Adams? The wrestler? Yes. The singer? No. Blue Meanie said, I absolutely love Who's Harry Crumb, to the surprise of no one. Neil said, RJ actually said he expects David not open the gift and let it lie around his house for ages. Yes. Aaron said, I'd love an RJ swizzle stick. I don't think I'm thinking that means what it means for you. Ty's a Limericky like emoji. I'll take another sit. Tabby said, the chat pops whenever you're on screen, RJ. It does for me too, and I have to refresh it. That's so weird. Neil said, when the chat sticks, I bet you get all anxious and think we left. Well, I can see that people are watching, and then whatever. I'm fine. I'm better now. Dave said, do you remember those pens where it had a lady on it, and if you held it upside down, the clothes would come off? Absolutely, because they would do the same thing with like a boat. The Maid of the Mist in Niagara Falls, they would do it was the same thing, but then it would be a naked lady. It was fun. Miss Meany said, what's eating Harry Crumb? That's a nice pastiche, Mrs. Meany. Question, does Blue Meanie get blue balls, or does he just always have them? Bill said, I loved the wrestler appearances on David Letterman. David was such a huge fan of Bobby Heenan growing up. Freddie Blassie and Andy Kaufman together on Letterman is one of my favorite appearances. David said, my first gig was a Bryan Adams video. What? What? Why? What were you doing? Why were you doing that? So you started off with a poor choice. Is that what you're saying? Isn't that odd? That is so weird. Clancy said, hey, I got to ask you, do you have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? I have a Chevy Cutlass. Neil said, ooh, Dave, we should have RJ pens like that. Oh, I would like that. Neil said, David, what video? Now everyone's going to look up this video. Richard said, David, no way. This is just a way for David to plug that video. He wants to get the views up on it. Texas said, watching You Cannot Kill David Arquette was the most I've seen you wrestle. From what I saw, I think you've got what it takes, kid. I do have it, but I left it in the car. Nail said, can we have RJ reacts to the Bryan Adams video? David, I don't know if you know. Bryan Adams said some horrible stuff in the press like a couple months ago, and everyone's like, I don't think we like him anymore. This is my favorite David Arquette quote ever. He said, I was kissing my girlfriend on a fire escape. I don't know the song. I think it's called the Fire Escape Blues by Bryan Adams. Escape the fire, but you can't escape my love by Bryan Adams. Dave said, what's a fun 90s PC game that you played? I remember playing Wing Commander games. That cast was very good. Nickelodeon's Director's Lab Studio. I was obsessed with it. It was basically a kid's version of Final Cut Pro. and they had all these stock clips you could edit together. I tried to find it playable online. I can't. I just find YouTube videos of it, and it sucks. But I love that game so much. Richard said, RJ, looking forward to see you wrestle again. It's been too long. Yeah, so I don't even think I'm wrestling on the wrestling show I'm doing on Sunday, so don't get that excited. Stokely said, do you know the Gary Shandling Show theme song? Don't we all? This is the theme to Gary's show, the opening theme to Gary's show. Gary called me up and asked if I would write his theme song. Sean said, better David Arquette role, Carter and Airheads or Benny and Buffy? Benny and Buffy is so much better, and an excellent supporting cast, including the dear sweet Paul Rubens, who has perhaps one of the greatest death scenes captured on film. Clincy said, will there be a new video about you reading mean boo heel tweets about you? I don't know, but people are tweeting nice shit to me, and it makes me uncomfortable. Nails is Googling the video. Clincy said, do you have a PlayStation or Xbox? I have a PS3, and I have an original Xbox, and I have an N64, and I have a Game Gear. And that's about it. Dave Mascarella said, is that any weirder music wrestling combo than that Phil Collins video that had the Ultimate Warrior? Even weirder than that combination is that in the opening of the video, it's Gilbert Gottfried as, I guess, Phil Collins' manager saying, let's book him against the Ultimate Warrior. And there was some contest online when his documentary came out, and I responded with that video, and I won free tickets. Karen said, later, everyone. See you soon. Have a fantastic morning or evening. Good morning. Good day to you, Karen. You are a delight. Nails said, bear with me. David is all over Google right now with some movie or other. Well, focus. A wonderful Periwinkle tribute by Tabby said, I'll be honest. The super awesome gifts I'm making are to make Nails weep with jealousy. Thank you for the tribute. Thank you for the gifts. And thank you, Nails, for the gifts. I'm all gift over. It's so very sweet of you. Thank you. And cheers to you. 3 cheers to you. Hip, hip. Clincy said, RJ, PlayStation 5 is coming. So are you planning on buying one for yourself? Absolutely not. Mrs. Meany said, Dolly Parton married Hulk Hogan in a music video and nobody told me. Oh, come on. Get it together. That Goonies music video is very good too. The Cyndi Lauper one. Goonies are good enough. Ty said, Limerick time. Well, I happen to have this book. There was a young fellow of Kent. Let me go. Actually, let me see if we can do this. Little Romances. Okay. There was a young lady of Ardennes, the tool of whose swain wouldn't harden. She said with a frown, I've been sadly let down by the tool of a fool in the garden. There was a young girl in Berlin who was fucked by an elderly Finn. Though he diddled his best, he fucked her with zest. She kept asking, hey, fella, is it in? There was I like this one. I wooed a stewed nude in Bermuda. I was lewd, but my God, she was lewder. She said it was crude to be wooed in the nude. I pursued her, subdued her, and screwed her. That may be my favorite one from my mouth to say. That was adorable. Let's see if anybody found this fucking video. Dave said, is there a better name for a color than periwinkle? I like mauve. This is a lovely mauve. Like, it just sounds like an adult color. If you like mauve, you're a boring person. Bill said, your Ultimate Warrior WrestleFest video was fun. Yes, my members got to see it early, which is very sweet of you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Everyone else will get to see it tomorrow, and then my members will get to see an early access video to The Good, the Bad, the Unknown. I had a bunch of LJN figures, said Bill. Sold some of mine. Sold the Ultimate Warrior figure for $850. Holy shit. Could not believe it. That's an incredibly rare figure, especially in good condition. Nail said, where are they, Tabby? I've not seen them. Sorry. Val said, did anybody admit to sending you this Limerick book? I feel it was a mystery. No, I got this book in the mail. No note, no nothing, no address. But thank you. Patrick said, favorite N64 game. I loved No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, and Revenge. And those are the ones that I played, 10 times more than any other game. I also really enjoyed Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. That was great. But those wrestling games, I just where it's at to me. Those That system was worth it just for those games. Dave said, speaking of WrestleFest, I played the other day and got 8 eliminations with Big Boss Man, 1 short of the perfect Rumble run. I've done it before. I just haven't filmed it, okay? It's gonna happen. Bear with me. Tabby said, check my Twitter. There are 2 under media, and they're pretty obvious which ones I made. I will. Stokely said, why would RJ buy a PS5 when he can just play Jessamyn's PS5? Jessamyn Sugar Mama Duke. Aaron said, what a delight. Nails said, Tabby put them on tenor. Nobody will be able to use them. Nails is really the gift master general here. Tabby said, what are you, buddy? A PS5 or something? That would have been a good... They should have sponsored me. Blue Meanie said, Larry Sharp. Ooh. Larry Sharp was the ref in the Phil Collins Hearts to Hearts video. It was a shoot at a brand new studio in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Paulsboro, New Jersey. Warrior took out his boots and spray painted them, ruining the new carpets in the studio. You know how many times I look at his boots and I go, how the fuck do you get weird ass? He would have like yellow cowboy boots and shit. He spray painted them. That makes so much sense. And of course he would do something like that. And everyone's like, imagine not knowing any wrestling and this guy comes in with spray painted boots and ruins the carpet and just fucks off. Phil Collins must have been pissed. And that's why Phil Collins and the Ultimate Warrior never worked together again. Thank you for that just deep cut trivia, Blue. Tabby said, RJ, I got that book from the CIA. RJ got that book from the CIA. Obviously, yes, it's bugged. Tie 5 with a color name, Skolbolov, which sounds like probably maybe an Eastern European treat, a pastry of some sort. Have some more Skobolov. Bill said, are there any old wrestling games you still want that you miss? There are ones that I wish I had the chance to play with a clearer head. There's a WrestleMania pinball game I've never played. That's probably top of my list. One that I can't play because any emulator has difficulty running it. It's because it's for PlayStation or I think Dreamcast. It was the In Your House, WWF In Your House. And each wrestler had their own. It was basically Mortal Kombat. It was a sequel to WrestleMania, the arcade game. And each wrestler had their own customs arena. And I think that's what fucks up the graphics. Nail said, I think David Live, it's not on his IMDb. Are you sure you're thinking of Bryan Adams and not Ann Murray or something, David? Tabby said, I have played Perfect Games too, and sadly, I didn't record them either. Quincy said, can you speak a bit Danish? No. Pantelis Grandma said, oh, great, nice to see how YouTube insisted on not sending me reminders. Hi, everyone. Hit the bell. You got to hit the bell. It will notify you when I am live on my channel, or if you are a member, if you are subscribed, it should let you know. Nelson, today I went looking and I'm now laughing at trending butts. Uh-oh, it's happening again. I don't know what the hell that. Blue Meanie said the Hearts to Hearts video, the Two Hearts video, was shot at the same studio in Paulsboro that Pro Wrestling Illustrated shot the Lords of the Ring home video with Bill Apter and Gordon Soley. That's the Madison Square Garden of weird crossover wrestling video shit. Dear Lord. Neil said, David has been in a Creed, Shannon Kay, and Jenny Lewis music video. David, I feel like you've left by now. Do any of those ring a bell? Because Bryan Adams is not coming up. Dave Muscarella said, I had WWF In Your House for PC. I remember going to the electronics boutique and buying it when it just dawned on me that that's what EB Games stands for. Sadly, I did not like the game. Neither did I, but it reminds me of a specific time in my childhood, hanging out with my cousin in New York who had the game. And oh my, I want to get back there so dearly. Panda's Grandma said, I did hit the bell. It's just not reminding me. I just have to keep staying up all night, every night to not miss anything. That is the best course of action. Do stay hydrated. Nail said, David and Sabrina both fell asleep. Great minds. Tabby said, Nails, butts, trends in Canada far too often. Nail said, Panties, what are we talking about? Sean Jackson, speaking of old wrestling games, isn't Blue Meanie in WrestleMania 2000? Of course. And his theme song is oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a great song. Dave said, I do like Vince McMahon's commentary on games. He was quite good doing it. Rah, rah, rah. That In Your House game was Mr. Perfect in Vince McMahon on commentary. Bill Alexander said, since you have a sing-along on Sundays, can we get one impression Wednesday? What would a promo sound like in a Jiminy Glick voice on David? And it's so wonderful David Arquette knows a big fan of your father, Louis Arquette, and he would do the great outdoors. And have you ever been outside? You ever worked with David Arquette? It's a wonderful question. Has David Arquette ever worked with David Arquette? Have you worked with yourself, boy? Have you looked yourself in your mirror and said, what can I come up with, boy? I've looked at the resume, and there's just not really much there. There's a blankness there, and there's also a blankness to your face. So if you're nothing but consistent, boy. I read that you ran into your sister at an S&M bar. That must have been an experience. My mother worked there. She was a valet. And it's fun for you, this new movie, You Cannot Kill. Dad, is that true? You can't kill him? Have you tried to die, boy? You ever say, jump off a bridge and see what I can do? That's, and it's a similar plot to Unbreakable with Bruce Willis. Do you remember that? And he couldn't die either. And he couldn't be hurt. I think that's fun. Why would you rip off that plot, boy? So wonderful. Here he is. He's a wonderful David Arquette. And the Rotten Tomatoes says he's fresh, but he's rotten to the core to me. Tabby said, Danhausen's pin tweet makes me uncomfortable. It's like seeing him naked. You know what? I'm not even going to look. Carla said, I would pay far much more for an RJ City sings the hits of wrestling arcade games. What song is this? Bow, wow, bow, wow, bow, wow, bow, 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 bow. What song is that? It's from a wrestling game. I think it's Chaz. Blue Meanie, does that sound correct? Was that Chaz's theme? Well, we're doing deep cuts here. Bow now, 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 bow now. Bow, 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 bow. I think that was like Dan Severn or something. Sticking to the Attitude Era. That's when the songs are the best. Nail said, hey, RJ, are you on YouTube yet? Send tweet. Oh, God. Is that from Danhausen? Dear Lord. Richard said, RJ, what do you order at Starbucks? I want a nitro cold brew grande in a paper cup, the white cup. No ice. It doesn't have any ice. One stevia. That's it. And it's a mouthful, and I look like an asshole, but whatever. I deal with it. Tabby said, Danha, we did that. Blue Meanie said, Blue Meanie just quietly giggled. I'm flattered as you were singing his theme. It's easily the best theme on that game. I don't know if it's the best theme of that era, because Gangrel's was fucking awesome. But on that game, it's fantastic. SM said, sounds more like Dusty Rhodes. You fell into that impression too quickly, said Ty. Sean said yes, but could Ed Grimley cut a promo? Oh, it's David Arquette. I must say, the son of Louis Arquette and Charlie Weaver. It's much exciting, I must say. I suppose you couldn't do better than saying hi to David Arquette. Pendle's grandma said, hey, RJ YouTube. Hey, RJ, do you do the YouTube? Hey, RJ, is this bugging you yet? Hey, is it, huh? Clinty said, now that's entertaining. Neil said, Rotten Tomatoes says he's fresh. Bill likes Jiminy. Nail said, oh, poor Danhausen. It's his human engagement photos. Richard said, that's Chaz's WWE theme. Thank you. And Dave confirms that was Dan Severn. Nails hit the emoji, so I must take a drink. This is my favorite drinking game because I just end up more hydrated. Patrick said, WCW NWO Thummer. WCW NWO Thunder for PS1 was terrible, but worth checking out for the short promos you can watch from Piper, Hogan, etc. on the character selection screen. They would you pick them, and if you hold it for a sec, they would like pop up live, and it's like these little movies. They're so much fun. I think either WWF Attitude or WWF Warzone, maybe both had them. And Ahmed Johnson's video cut screen, can't understand them at all. Carla drank to that. Pangela's grandma said, are you doing Iron Man? It's clearly a ripoff of it, but it's not. Neil said, what's the meanest thing you've ever done? And when was the last time you felt blue? Well, at Greektown, I shook his hand and I said, Blue Meanie, it's lovely to see you. Neil said, what was the meanest thing you've ever done? Probably when I was in high school, and they did have cell phones, but there was a heavy reliance on payphones. Like, not everyone had cell phones. Okay, so now I sound like I'm 85. They were just like the iPhone was just starting. But there were still payphones at the school, and people would use them a lot actually to call their parents or whatever. And it was during exams, so people would be going in and out all day. You would go in for 2 hours, write your exam, and then your parent would pick you up or whatever. And I took my father's black shoe polish, and I stole this prank from Bobby Heenan's book. I took my father's black shoe polish and I rubbed it on the earpieces of the payphones. And then, I don't sit around and watch. I leave. I don't want to say, "Oh, I pranked you." I'm just like, I'm cruel in that way where I'm happy that nobody ever knows it's me. And then I would just be wandering the halls talking to people throughout the day, and they just have all black on their ears, and they wouldn't even know it. That was the best. That was that nice little subtle, that kind of thing. You don't really know, and it's like, who's this joke for? No one's quite sure. It's probably the meanest thing, but I'd do it again. Ivan said, RJ and Dan Severn, 2 peas in a pod. Yes, on our team named Severn City. Severn Darden. Dave Muscarella said, Steve Blackman had 2 killer themes. Oh, with the one with the drums. I can't even mimic it because it's all drums. The one with the drums, the one with the guitar riff. I like the guitar. I don't remember the guitar one, but of course I remember the drums. And they was like, wow, look at this. They glow in the dark. Toe Knuckles, said Clincy, and I don't know what that's in reference to. Stokely said, who is your favorite George? I like George Wallace. I don't know if George Burns is at the top of my list. I was going to say George Jefferson, but then I realized his name is Sherman Hemsley. I really liked Gorgeous George, the original male wrestler. He was probably Gorgeous George. Easily. I think he's my favorite. Miss Mimi said the Brood theme is just Alanis Morissette's Thank You. Go listen. I mean, it's not, but I've never seen them in the same room. That's fair. And I think Gangrel is actually who she wrote You Ought to Know About. Ty said 1 or 2 more limericks before time runs out. Oh my God. Ty wants her limericks in. There was a young lady of Besister who was nicer by far than her sister. The sister would giggle and wiggle and jiggle, but this one would come if you kissed her. Let's read another one. There was a young sailor from Brighton who remarked to his girl, you're a tight one. She cried, "'Pon my soul, you're in the wrong hole. There's plenty of room in the right one." A young woman got married at Chester. Her mother she kissed and she blessed her. She said, "You're in luck. He's a stunning good fuck, for I've had him myself down in Leicester." Whoa. They don't categorize these. There's no trigger warning on that one. A lady while dining at Carew found an elephant's wang in her stew. Said the waiter, "Don't shout and don't wave it about, or the others will all want one too." At the United Nations, when I went for a tour there in New York, the UN building, I believe Africa donated a statue and of an elephant. And they made it anatomically correct. It's this big bronze statue, like a life-size thing of an elephant. But it's got this huge hanging penis on it. So they had to put a bush underneath it to hide its penis. It's true. I've seen it. Steve said, "Sup, RJ, new to the channel, instant fan. It won't be for long. Keep up the awesome content. Your patience is going to run out, my friend." Clincy said, "Ever donated?" Where did you go, boy? Toe Knuckles. We did Toe Knuckles. Where did he go? Ever donated to someone on either YouTube or Twitch? Well, I must admit, I've donated quite a few times. To some streams. Primarily, I'm a member of the Duke Gang. Jessamine Duke's Game Time. I joined her channel, and you can too at youtube.com/8bitamazon, or you can just join mine. It's totally up to you. Paisley's grandma said, "Have I ever stolen anything?" I used to eat in store all the time. Grapes, apples, whatever. Protein bars, and then it gave me tremendous anxiety, and I had to stop. I didn't do it that often, but when I did, it was just like the worst thing in the world, and I don't know why. I didn't have any money, and I was starving. And it was really stupid. And I still feel bad about it right now. Bill said, you mentioned, are you being served? Yes, I just talked about that in my YouTube picks with my members this week. Earlier in the week, are there any other British comedies you're a fan of? The British are the best at double entendre comedy. I loved as a child, I loved Keeping Up Appearances. That was very fun to me. And of course, Faulty Towers. I mean, it is surprising. And I watched Faulty Towers like just a few years ago, the whole thing. There aren't that many episodes. You think there are, but they're not. The good thing about British sitcoms is that there's not always 13 or more episodes. Sometimes they'll be like, there's 6. We're doing 6 this season. Get used to it. And it's great. That means all the episodes are good. Dave Muscarella said, I noticed your wrestling gear is quite simple and small. Ever thought of wrestling in full tights doing an Andre singlet look? Fun fact, Dave, when I did Gildar on the second season of Splat-A-Lot, they had to throw me into the moat, and they said, what do you want as a bathing suit? We'll make whatever you want. So a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, give me the Andre singlet. That's what I want. They made it for me, and I ended up wrestling in it for a couple of shows because I just loved it because no one wore it anymore. I used to have long tights. I started with long tights. I found them to be annoying, like hot and annoying, and a lot to deal with. Once I went to trunks, and then I went to like the shorts, like the biker shorts, because I was insecure. But now that I'm at the trunks, I don't think I can go back. My legs are too nice. The last time I wore tights, first time I teamed with David, as you can see in the movie, You Cannot Kill David Arquette. That's the name of it, available now. He wanted to wear these tights, so we had them made. They were very extravagant. They had all these bells and whistles and sequins and pads on them, and everything had a design, and we put them on, and they immediately started falling apart. It was just too much for me, and I was like, no, we're getting trunks. And he agreed with me because he has nice legs too. He has tremendous calves. Blue Meanie said, I believe there is a topless photo of RJ City and I in the bathroom from Greektown Wrestling. There is. I was blue bombed. He's a blue bomber. It's on my Instagram, but you got to scroll because I haven't had a wrestling show in 23 years now. Sean said the meanest thing he's ever done was clearly shoving David off a pedestal. That was the best thing because it was poetic. Nail said, whenever I see a mystery black smudge, I will think of RJ. Stokely said, PS5 money or thongs, whatever you need the most. Stokely, that is so sweet. It's going to be thongs for me, but I can play with them just as much as a PS5. Thank you. 3 cheers for you. Stokely said, no horse. Or Nail said, no horse, Stokely. Here's a little horse on the house for Stokely. Enjoy yourself. Carla said, the book is dynamite. This book is dynamite. Oh, yes, this book is dynamite. I thought you were talking about the show. I thought you said, who booked Dynamite? Nail said, there are worse guys you could be. There are worse things I could do. Dave said, is it time for a Dilbert comeback? I enjoyed the cartoon. Wasn't Dilbert and Drew Carey like the same thing? Neil said, did this book come from England? I think all limericks come from England for some reason. Pantyless Grandma said, hey, you finally got the book. Awesome. I'd already given it up on never reaching you. Pantyless Grandma, I've been asking who sent me this book. And it is you. And God bless you. Thank you so much. And I will put it to good use. We're going to get through them all. And if we don't like it, it's entirely your fault. But thank you so much. Neil said, what a very serious thing to do. Go to the United Nations for a tour. It is a serious. I was a little adult. Ty said, Jessamine Duke's group is called the Gamer Gang. Neil said, look at the smile when he said Duke Gang. Well, I'm a big fan of Patty Duke. Tabby said, oh, Dave, Dilbert's creator went off the deep end. That's for sure. He went to the far side. Steve said, what was the idea behind Coffee and Underwear Show? Well, I tweeted it out as a joke because everyone was streaming everything else. And then Tommy Dreamer said, this is really his fault. Dreamer said, you might as well do it. Everyone else is doing stupid stuff. And I said, okay. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to do one. And now I've been doing it too long. Nail said, oh my God, Panties sent the book. He had it last week and said, yeah, Panties, yeah, it was supposed to get to him by his birthday. Just a tiny hiccup in the postal service, but it's here now and it's forever cherished. So thank you. Richard said, Hyacinth Bouquet from Keeping Up Appearances. Yes. Stokely said, RJ laughed and smiled when he mentioned playing Jessamine PS5 instead of buying one. I'm going to play with my thongs. Thank you. Where did we go? Covering your thighs would be a sin, RJ. Thank you, SM. That's very sweet of you. Nicholas said, I showed up late. Donation out of shame. And that's the best way to donate because that's how the church does it. And they make a shitload of money. So I'm going to continue to shame you. Thank you, Nicholas. D. Nicola. Nick for short. Thank you so much. Here's to you. Tabby said their fetish is singlets. Clint said, back in WWE, someone said that their friendship is unstoppable. But then I said, yeah, whatever you say. Yeah, that's what I say to those wrestlers. Sometimes I talk about stuff and my comeback is, yeah, whatever you say. Tabby said, David's finish would be an arm bar called the David Arquette. Don't give him too much wit. It would ruin his oeuvre. Nell said, I feel weird. Do we call pantyless grandma panties grandma? I always thought it was pantyless grandma. Panties la grandma? What? Look, that's my fault for saying it that way. It's pantyless grandma to me. That's how I like them. Blue Meanie said, along with my Mind of the Meanie podcast, the RJ City live streams are the highlight of my week. If you want the Mind of Meanie podcast, it is, of course, available wherever podcasts are heard. You can also find him on his YouTube channel. He's doing wonderful cartoons. And Blue Meanie says he loves being among so many like-minded folks. I think by like-minded, he means warp-minded folks. The important thing is that we're all together. That's what makes me incredibly, incredibly happy. And go buy Blue Meanie's merch, too. He puts out wonderful parody shirts like the Roman Reigns wreck the bathroom and leave is my favorite. Neil said, oh, and by the way, if you're interested in old Kick 90 shirts like I am, and I saw this on Instagram, I think yesterday, Blue Meanie has a code at Homage, who makes the coolest 90s t-shirts, like a bunch of Nickelodeon stuff and Goonies stuff. And I believe, Blue Meanie, the code is Meanie. I'm just taking a stab. I think that's correct. But head to Meanie's Instagram and you can find it. They're delightful people, too. Neil said, panties saved Wednesdays. Fair enough. Oh, wait. Here's the clarification on the name. Panties La Grandma said, Pantyless Grandma works much better unless it's making people uncomfortable. Well, it makes me happy. So we're going to deal with it. Nails has used the emoji. Here's the thing. Clint said, was someone called Dave Housen before? Yes, I believe that was Dan Housen. Sean said, I've always wondered which it was, Grandma. Well, now we know. Nail said, the cult loves you, Blue Meanie. Tabby said, you can have the David Arquette if you need a submission finish, RJ. I don't, but thank you. I have a sleeper hold called Good Night, everybody. Yolanda said, whose grandma didn't have drawers on? Nail said, clean your sinks. Nicholas said, RJ, you really are a national treasure. That's a lie. I'm an international treasure. You resurrected my love of sports entertainment. Yes, I mean, boo. And the best thing is I did it without actually wrestling. Blue Meanie with the Homage code. Use code Meanie in all caps to save 20% off, which is like free shipping. I think it's a good deal. I think I'm going to do it. Clarabelle said, no Meanie Housen. Miss Meanie said, just punch in Meanie at every checkout you come across. Anytime there's a promo code, if you're going to Disney World or Flying Delta, use code Meanie. Payless Grandma said, Dave Housen has such a nice ring to it. Nail said, my favorite RJ moment is tonight, if you get me. I don't get you. I don't know what you're talking about. Clint said, one last time, are you mostly boo or heel? I'm a boo heel. Let's read some more of these. There was a young lady of Dover whose passion was such that it drove her to cry when you came, oh dear, what a shame. Well, now we shall have to start over. There was a young man of Dumfries who said to his girl, if you please, it would give me great bliss if, while playing with this, you would pay some attention to these. He's probably talking about his feet. There was a young lady named Flynn who thought fornication a sin. But when she was tight, it seemed quite all right, so everyone filled her with gin. Why would the what? Oh, I see. Oh, that's weird. There was a young fellow named Goody who claimed that he wouldn't, but would he? If he found himself nude with a gal in the mood, the question's not would he, but could he? I don't quite understand. Steve said the shirt company is called Homage or Homage, if you're French. Nail said, the start of your videos. Oh, the start of my Good, the Bad, the Unknown. Tonight. Yes, sorry. I forgot to show myself. Clint said, well, RJ, I got to go. So keep your entertaining like any whatsoever. I'm trying. Clara said, gotta love that RJ House. And Tabby said, going through my Twitter images, reminded of the guy who hates women's wrestling and wrote, we need pure, legitimate men tactical combat simulations about professional wrestling. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Just like this scenario. SM said, I love this book. Neil said, serving face there. And this face is going to say goodbye and good night to you all. God bless you. There's video games tomorrow. Use code MEANIE on everything that you buy. Godspeed. God bless.